Okay, remember they're changing my voice. So let's look at, the idea of the inscription, right? Scripture, scrambled, is Crip's root. Inscription is Crip shun sin, and sin shun Crip. Okay, and CRIP, was an acronym, is what they used to say for Christ Rest in Peace, for Community Revolution in Progress, so on and so forth, right? God's revolution. Okay, now I'm not saying be a Crip. Okay, Crips are bad guys, like everyone else. They're outside the divine order. I don't consider myself a Crip. Okay, but I used to hang out with them, and really, I was really taking that path, trying to be the voice of reason there. Okay, pictures is Crip you set, right? So they're trying to change my pictures to make it so I resemble Set. Okay, but Nigerians more often than not naturally have round faces, not thinner faces. So that's one way that something's fishy. Okay, it said this guy's dad is a big guy with a big round face. Why on earth would he have a thin face? Okay, and this guy's a big black guy, and so on and so forth. You can imagine everything that entails. What are the odds that this guy's face would be thin unless they were fuming him, and so on and so forth? And you see in my pictures, some pictures I have a round face, some pictures I have a thinner face. Okay, and the Jews have a thin face, and they like to breed crypto Jews. And the RNA gene expression, your father's gene expression, tends to show more than the mother's, especially in guys. Okay, now we know that they've been editing my pictures, and we know that they've been editing to various degrees. Sometimes it's very obvious because they were, know that every video and every picture has been edited by them. And from what I've heard, and I can't listen to it too much without getting headaches and stuff, I have to watch annotations, but from every video I've seen, they've changed my voice. So I think it's safe to assume, and we're talking about different channels, it's safe to assume that they've edited every voice um, on every channel. And I've seen thousands of videos where every video has been edited, and they've broken into my house, and so that the information here is also compromised. Okay, it hurts my eyes to look on a computer, so I can't really double check how much has been compromised, but it's safe to say they took the time to switch it all out. Okay, so there's no existing and trustworthy image of me, and there's no existing and trustworthy image of me, and there's no existing image in a video that you can trust. Okay, and it's probably only a matter of time before they start editing these videos too, so you got to be aware of that too. But when it points to me, that, okay, look, you can't trust anybody but me, and you know it is me if you rally to me in person. Okay, I'm in Morgan Hill right now, Morgan Hill, California. Okay, that is the bottom line. It's not very hard to find me. If you go out in the morning in Morgan Hill, you'll eventually find me. You know, and that's the best I can do because of the rules of YouTube. I can't say exactly where I'd be at one time, but you know. All right, where are we here? All right, so give to God what is God's okay. The resurrection and marriage. Okay, this one's an interesting one. I think a lot of people are interested in this. It's interesting, where, remember, this is a story. I don't entirely agree with the description being made here. Okay, I do not believe the people who wrote this story knew what they were talking about this issue. But to some degree, they're right. Some of the Sadducees who say there is no resurrection came to Jesus with a question. Teacher, they said, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies and leaves a wife but no children, the man must marry the widow and raise up offspring for the brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first one married a woman and died childless. The second and the third married her, and in the same way the 7 died, leaving no children. Finally the woman died too. Now then, at the resurrection, whose wife will she be? Since the 7 were married to her. Jesus replied, the people of this age marry and are given in marriage. But those who are considered worthy of taking part in the age to come and in the resurrection from the dead will neither marry or be given in marriage. And they can no longer die, for they are like the angels. They are God's children, since they are children of the resurrection. But in the account of the burning bush, even Moses showed that the dead rise, for he calls the Lord the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living, for to him all are alive. Some of the teachers of the law responded, well said, teacher, and no one dared to ask him any more questions. Okay, so that is basically Roman bullshit. Racists, whites, Jews, and LGBT people want you to believe that so that you look at things in terms of, well, you're not going to be happy in the afterlife anyway, or some nonsense like that. It's garbage. Okay, God will never forsake His chosen ones. Okay, they make it seem like you're just like some kind of angel servant, in the spirit of the angels or something, but that's not the case. Okay, God is going to reward the righteous. What happens when they die, okay, is reward. These people don't know what they're talking about. The whites, Jews, and LGBT, every day they admit to me that they don't know what they're talking about and they want me to shut up. They know that only I know what I'm talking about. They know that it's something you can only know by communicating to God. Okay? And they act like children, racist scum. They use government technology and covertly, communicate to me. They admit that they're trying to play me out as mentally ill, trying to make it so that I make the argument that they're covertly communicating to me, even though Masons are famous for that, gangs are famous for that, and we have these things in Morgan Hill in abundance. Okay, cops use police code, intelligence operatives. There's no shortage of large, and massive groups that covertly communicate. But these people would cite, oh, he thinks he's a brain surgeon's son. He is. He thinks that people covertly communicate. They do. He used to hang out with gang members, and he thinks that gang members are covertly communicating to him, and the government as well. They are. I mean, these are overwhelmingly logical assumptions. Okay. So, what happens exactly, nobody knows. But what we do know is that God rewards you. Okay? So it's like, when you're about to have, I'm going to speak about something that's similar. Okay? So you're about to have your first kiss, we'll say, your first kiss. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you know that it's going to be good. And you have a basic idea of what it's going to be, right? And that same way you sense what's going to happen when you die, that God's going to allocate for you, you know, you're going to live forever, right? You're not going to die. They got that part right. But you don't know, if you're going to be in a different galaxy or whatever, right? So you don't know these things. All right. Where was I here? Whose son is the Messiah? Then Jesus said to him, why is it said that the Messiah is the son of David? David himself declares in the book of Psalms, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. Okay, keep in mind that they're also right about that. You know that the warrior spirit exists for a reason. You know that justice and righteousness exist for a reason. So, when I said that, yes, I'm going to be at God's right hand, I'm going to punish all the rebels and so on and so forth, especially people who have the nerve to order people to persecute me, cause me pain, people working on this directly, their offspring. This is basic justice 101. You see what I'm saying? They mark their families, they accept the mark of the beast, marking their families as extreme enemies of God. Okay? And God you see the pattern in nature that God put the righteous over the wicked. Okay? When the wicked, pretend that they triumph by exerting worldly power, whatever you want to call their feeble attempts of seeming important. Okay, they just look like fucking idiots. Look like Pee Wee Herman acting tough. They look like fucking Andre the Giant acting bad. They look like knuckleheads. They look like clowns. Right? Compare them to a circus. You'll see what I'm saying real quickly. Okay, they look like some kind of pervs, some kind of arrogant, pompous fools. Some kind of suit-wearing ninnies, European governing class arrogance, and so on and so forth. Well, you see through it real fast. Colonialism just overkills it. They saw through it before anyone was colonized. They saw that these people were arrogant from a long line of arrogant people, and that's not ideal, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so we see Psalm 110:1. Okay, is what he says, that the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. And heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. Okay, so heaven is the throne, right? Earth is the footstool. So people who are surviving on earth, who breed after I die, who live after I die, who are also, they're going to be outside the divine order by default, they're being trampled. Okay? They're being trampled because they didn't listen to God. So they have the disgrace of continuing on. Right now you can even look around and see I'm the only true warrior. Right? My dad. There's something he said about him. Okay, there's a little something he said about my brothers, but they're in a rebellion. I'm the only true warrior on the whole planet. Only true martial artist. And people have accepted the mark of the craftsman, the nerd, the geek, the brute, the mere modern profane military soldier that relies on mere technology and flesh and not God. They accepted the mark of a lack of virtue, a lack of masculine principles. So, they're not true men, they're not true martial arts, they're not true husbands, they're not true fathers. They're just some kind of sissy that didn't want to serve God. You see what I'm saying? So they're being trampled in principle, in spirit, and they're eventually going to be marshaled off to the rest of the crap heap, so to speak. All right. Warning against the teachers of the law. While all the people were listening, Jesus said to his disciples, beware of the teachers of the law. They like to walk around in flowing robes and love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and have the most important seats in the synagogues and the places of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses and for a show make lengthy prayers. They devour the poor, the widow, right? The poor homeless lady is a widow, for example. Okay, these men will be punished most severely, right? They're keeping them from God. They're keeping them poor. Remember earlier, I think it was in Luke, that the Pharisees were sneering at Jesus when he said, "You can't." Oh yeah, that was Luke. Yeah, I was doing it the other day. He said, "You can't serve both God and money," and they're sneering at him. Okay, these are the people that extort the system. These are certain particular types of white Jews and LGBT people. They're leading everyone else in the world astray. They've bred crypto Jews and crypto white and crypto LGBT people, if you will. They're not so subtle these days, but historically to some degree they were. And you know they chose money and flesh and technology, and it's really really pitiful, really shameful. And I'm sure that you see they deserve to be called those sorts of names and so on and so forth. All right, thank you.